Imagine you wake up on an ordinary morning and look out your window. Your gaze automatically searches for the familiar shapes on the street, but finds only a void. Not just a traffic jam or a sparse flow of cars, but an absolute yawning emptiness. Where is everything? Where did all the cars go? Those millions of tons of metal, plastic, and glass that just yesterday filled every avenue, every street, every parking lot? They didn't just break down or stop. They vanished without a trace. The buses are gone, along with their drivers and passengers. The trucks have disappeared with their valuable cargo. Nothing remains in their place, just asphalt holding the ghostly imprints of tires. Now, lift your gaze higher. Listen. What do you hear? The hum of the metropolis, its familiar low-frequency breath composed of the roar of engines, the drone of tires, and distant horns, has fallen silent. It is no more. The sonic curtain, which had accompanied our lives for decades, has suddenly lifted, revealing a silence broken only by the wind, the voices of people, and the singing of birds. Sounds no longer drowned out by man-made noise. This silence is deafening. It is unfamiliar and even frightening. But this is only the beginning. Now, in your mind's eye, travel to the nearest railway station. The platforms are full of people, but there are no trains. No commuter trains, no express liners. The tracks stretch into an empty distance, utterly lifeless. Now look up at the sky. It is clear. The contrails of jet planes, that white web that enveloped the planet, are gone. The airspace has been emptied. No one. Nothing. And what of the ports? Those giant transport hubs that connected the continents. The harbors are frozen. The water is still, save for its natural currents. There are no giant cargo ships, no nimble tugboats, no passenger liners. The piers are empty. The anchorages deserted. The world's oceans became, in an instant, trackless and empty as they were hundreds of years ago. All of this happened simultaneously, everywhere, without warning and without explanation. This is not a local catastrophe or a system failure. It is a global phenomenon that altered the very structure of our civilization in an instant. Our reality, entirely dependent on speed and movement, has suddenly ground to a halt. And now, we the audience, are faced with the ultimate question: what is humanity to do when the wheels have stopped turning, the wings have ceased to soar, and the propellers no longer spin? Will we be able to find new paths? Or are we destined to return to our origins, rediscovering a world that has suddenly become so vast and so very quiet? The answer lies in our next investigation. So the reality has changed. You are faced with empty highways and silence. But what happens next? Look at the cityscape now. You see those who have left their homes. They are not running in panic. They are not screaming. They are silently surveying the emptied space. Their movements are slow and cautious. They approach the spots where their cars were parked just yesterday and run their hands through the air, as if checking to see if it's a mirage. They look at the asphalt, where only faded tire marks and oil stains remain, the sole evidence that something was once here. Now ask yourself a question. How do you establish connection in a world where there is no way to travel even to the next district? The first attempts are already beginning. Look at the main streets. You will notice lone cyclists. They are moving along central avenues that have now become wide and empty. These people are not athletes or couriers in the conventional sense. They are the city's new circulatory system. In their backpacks and bags, not food or documents, but information. Printed messages, maps, handwritten reports. They ride from one district to another, from one city to a neighboring town. Their routes are still chaotic. They are only blazing the first trails in this new world. Their speed seems laughable by past standards. But right now, it is the only way to deliver a message. Listen to the sounds of the city now. You will not hear the roar of engines, but you will hear something else. The creak of bicycle chains, the clatter of wheels on pavement seams, the labored breathing of those forced to cover on foot distances that once seemed insignificant. And also voices. People are talking to each other on the streets, exchanging news, forming theories. The silence that was once deafening is now filling with a human murmur. It is a low, anxious hum, but it is communication. It is the beginning of self-organization. Pay attention to what is happening at major intersections. There are no traffic lights anymore. They are meaningless. Their colored signals no longer restrain or direct anyone. People cross these spaces intuitively, forming temporary streams. No rules, only mutual caution. Now look at the former gas stations and auto repair shops. These places were the first to become vacant. Their role in the urban infrastructure has been reset to zero. Meanwhile, other spots have come to life. Repair workshops, bicycle part stores. Lines are already starting to form outside them. What is happening beyond the city? Look at the country highways. They are utterly deserted and lifeless. No cars, no trucks. Long-distance travel has ceased. Life has concentrated within urban centers, and their immediate outskirts, between settlements, thin, unreliable threads of bicycle couriers now stretch. They are the only remaining links. The world, which just yesterday was globalized and tight-knit, has once again become vast and fragmented. And in this new reality, every message, every piece of news delivered on two wheels becomes priceless. How long can such a system last? And what will replace it? This is what we will explore next time. Take a close look at the streets now. You will notice how rapidly the urban landscape is changing. Two primary modes of transportation now dominate. The first is the bicycle. This simple mechanical device, comprised of a frame, wheels, and a chain, has become the paramount technological asset. Its value has increased tenfold. The second is horses and other draft animals. They can be seen on central avenues, transporting goods and people. Consider the challenge of manufacturing what has become critically important. Turn your gaze to the industrial zones. Former automobile plants, which once assembled complex machines with internal combustion engines, have been repurposed. The assembly lines that produced car bodies and engines now churn out bicycle frames and chain links. Robotic lines have been adapted to assemble simple mechanisms. This is not an evolution, but a sharp return to proven technologies, now implemented on an industrial scale. Observe the logistics centers. Where trucks once unloaded their goods, horse-drawn carts now arrive. The cargo capacity of such caravans is low, so priorities have shifted. The primary goods being transported are tools, medicine, seeds, and parts for infrastructure. Luxury items and heavy machinery remain in warehouses with no means of delivery. Pay attention to the road surfaces. The wide automobile highways are beginning to be reconfigured. Asphalt is being broken up along the edges, narrowing the carriageway. The freed space is covered with soil to create paths for horses. On some sections, wooden boardwalks are being laid to reduce the strain on cartwheels. Look at the residential districts. Garages and underground parking lots, having lost their original function, are being converted into workshops and stables. People are independently retrofitting these concrete boxes for new needs. Some house forges for shoeing horses and repairing metal parts, while others store hay and fodder for the animals. What is happening to the power grid? The factories that have switched to bicycle production require less electricity than automobile manufacturing did. The freed up capacity is being redirected to power communications and meet the basic needs of the population. Hydrocarbon fuels, now less in demand, are being stockpiled for emergency generators and heating. Look at the agricultural lands. There, we see a return to the use of working animals, oxen and horses for plowing fields. Engine-powered machinery stands idle due to a lack of fuel and spare parts. An accelerated mechanization is taking place, but one driven by muscle power rather than motors. Notice the changes in the urban environment. A new infrastructure is emerging. Water troughs for animals, bicycle maintenance stations, and rental points for animal-drawn transport. These facilities are becoming new hubs of social activity. Around them, flows of people and goods are taking shape. What about governance? Municipal authorities are issuing new traffic regulations, designating separate lanes for bicycles and carts, regulating load on bridges, and organizing livestock grazing on the outskirts. Old road signs are being dismantled, replaced by simple signposts showing directions and distances. Take a closer look at educational institutions. New courses are appearing in the curricula on animal husbandry, veterinary science, and the repair of mechanical vehicles. The professions of blacksmith, veterinarian, and bicycle mechanic are once again in high demand. A rapid retraining of the workforce is underway. The fundamental question remains: can this hybrid system of mechanical and animal power meet the needs of a developed civilization? Will this forced transformation lead to a technological regression? The search for answers continues. Take a look at the urban environment today. You'll notice rapid migration. People are leaving their homes in suburban areas en masse. These areas, once thriving, are now becoming uninhabitable. Distances to workplaces that were once covered by car have now become insurmountable barriers to walking. Take a look at city centers. There, the opposite process is occurring. Population density is increasing sharply. Previously vacant apartments within walking distance of factories, office complexes, and medical facilities are becoming highly sought after. Spontaneous densification is underway, with several families moving into large apartments. Look at the real estate market. The cost of housing within walking distance of key infrastructure facilities has increased several-fold. In contrast, real estate prices in residential areas have fallen to practically zero. A natural exchange is taking place. An apartment in the center is being exchanged for a house in the suburbs with a significant premium. Take a closer look at the suburban areas themselves. There, the process of deconstruction is beginning. Abandoned houses are being dismantled for building materials. Bricks, wooden beams, and roofing iron are all manually loaded onto horse-drawn carts and transported to city centers for new construction. Notice the social structure. Stratification is occurring along territorial lines. Those who own housing in the center enjoy a stable position. Residents of the outskirts are faced with the need to walk for hours to get to work. Look at street activity in the central districts. It has increased dramatically. Sidewalks are filled with pedestrians at all hours. Streets have become extended public spaces. People move leisurely, conserving their energy for work. Note the change in the rhythm of life. The workday now starts later. Time is needed for walking. Lunch breaks have become longer. People return home earlier in the evening. The ability to combine several jobs in different parts of the city has disappeared. Notice the organization of production. Enterprise management is forced to provide housing close to workplaces. Production facilities are being converted into dormitories. Empty workshops are being divided into residential sections with partitions. Take a closer look at the education system. Schools and kindergartens in the city center are overcrowded. Educational institutions in the outskirts are closing due to a lack of students. Children are studying in 2 or 3 shifts. Teachers are being housed in school buildings. Take a look at healthcare. Clinics in central districts are overloaded. Patients from the outskirts are unable to reach doctors. Medical personnel are organizing mobile consultations to remote areas using horse-drawn transport. Take a look at food supplies. Stores in the city center are experiencing difficulties delivering goods. Residents of the suburbs are starting to grow their own vegetables and fruits in their gardens, arranging for their delivery to the city. What's happening with the infrastructure? Central districts are experiencing increased strain on water, sewer, and electricity systems. In the outskirts, public services are becoming irregular due to the migration of maintenance personnel. The urban environment is undergoing a stress test for viability. The urban structure, designed for transport mobility, is now forced to exist in new conditions. A painful but necessary reorganization of space to accommodate pedestrian needs is underway. Can the city withstand such a concentration? Will it lead to the collapse of life support systems? The answer lies in our future research. Look at the urban highways now. You will see their purpose changing with astonishing speed. The wide carriageways once occupied by cars are being repurposed. The asphalt is being coated with a special rubber compound for bicycle tracks. Along the edges of the former roads, stone slabs are being laid for pedestrian promenades. Pay attention to the organization of space. Where multi-level interchanges once stood, complex transport hubs for different modes of travel are now emerging. Separate levels are allocated for bicycle paths, others for pedestrian crossings, and still others for animal-drawn transport. A clear zoning of traffic flows is taking place. Observe the high-speed highways between cities. Their transformation is the most monumental. In place of the asphalt surface, 2 parallel lines are appearing. A rail path for horse-drawn trains and a dirt strip for riders and carts. These routes are becoming the new transport arteries between population centers. Take a closer look at the waterways. River and sea canals, previously used primarily for large vessels, are being cleared for sail and rowboats. Berths for small craft are being built along the shores. Water transport is becoming a genuine alternative to land travel. Notice the construction technologies. For new roads, stonework and wooden boardwalks are being used instead of asphalt. These materials are easier to produce and repair without heavy machinery. The width of the carriageway is being reduced by 3 or 4 times compared to automobile highways. Look at the bridges and tunnels. They are being rebuilt to account for the new loads. Support structures are being reinforced for the regular passage of animal-drawn transport. Bridges are being organized with separate lanes for different types of movement, complete with mandatory railings. Turn your gaze to the city outskirts. There, transfer stations are appearing, complex facilities for switching from one mode of transport to another. Here, one can change from a bicycle to a horse, or transfer cargo from a cart to a river vessel. These stations include stables, workshops, and warehouses. Observe the navigation system. Along the new transport routes, simple signposts with symbols, depictions of a bicycle, a horse, a boat are being installed. This is a more practical measure given the varying speeds of movement. Take note of the road lighting. Instead of energy-intensive systems, autonomous lamps powered by solar panels are being installed. Main routes are illuminated only at dangerous sections, sharp turns, intersections, and descents to water. Look at the mountain regions. There, historical packed trails, unused for decades, are being restored. Rocky sections are being reinforced, and switchbacks for animals carrying loads are being carved. These paths are becoming the only link between isolated settlements. Pay attention to traffic safety. On steep descents, mechanical braking systems for carts are being installed. On rivers, fords and hand-operated ferry crossings are being constructed. Dangerous sections are marked with warning signs. What is happening with intercity communication? A network of core routes connecting major population centers is being formed. These highways are patrolled by repair crews and maintained in constant working order. They are becoming the backbone of the new transport system. Can this infrastructure, which blends ancient principles with modern materials, ensure sustainable connections between cities? Will the reliance on muscle power lead to the isolation of remote regions? The search for optimal solutions continues in our next investigations. Observe the supply system now. You will witness its complete transformation. Large distribution centers on the outskirts of cities are losing their significance. In their place, networks of regional warehouses located within walking distance of residential areas are emerging. These warehouses are connected by regular horse-drawn convoys. Pay attention to the organization of cargo flows. Heavy and bulky goods are now produced directly within their regions of consumption. Local factories are reorienting to manufacture products from local raw materials. Long-distance shipments are preserved only for exceptionally valuable and lightweight goods. Look at the sky. There, you can spot airships and balloons. These aircraft, utilizing Archimedes' principle, are becoming an alternative to airplanes. They transport urgent cargo, medicines, tools, equipment parts. Their speed is low, but they are independent of ground infrastructure. Take a closer look at the river systems. They are now navigated by sailing and rowing vessels of various cargo capacities. Along the banks, the system of towpaths, where barges are pulled by haulers or horses, is being restored. This ancient method is proving effective against the current. Notice the change in the range of available goods. Perishable products from distant regions are disappearing from the shelves. Local produce is taking their place. Seasonality is becoming the defining factor in nutrition. Greenhouses and conservatories near cities are acquiring strategic importance. Look at the postal system. It now operates on a relay principle. Couriers on bicycles hand off mail at special stations where horses and bicycles are changed. This allows for a relatively high delivery speed over long distances. Observe the energy-related cargo. Coal and firewood are becoming the primary types of fuel. Their delivery is organized via waterways in winter and by animal-drawn transport in summer. Petroleum products are transported only for pharmaceutical and technical needs. Pay attention to construction materials. Their production is being localized. Brickworks, sawmills, and stone-cutting workshops are appearing in every district. This eliminates the need to transport heavy loads over significant distances. Examine the medical supply chain. Medicines and equipment are delivered by air or by high-speed bicycle couriers. Pharmacies are shifting towards local herbs and components. A network of greenhouses for growing medicinal plants is being developed. Look at the backup reservation system. Strategic food reserves are being created in every district for emergencies. They are stored in underground repositories and regularly updated. Local authorities are responsible for their safekeeping. Pay attention to informational cargo. Paper books and documents are regaining their value. They are transported between libraries to replenish collections. A system for exchanging knowledge between regions through physical media is emerging. What is happening with international trade? It has been reduced to a minimum. Seafaring sailing vessels make rare voyages with exceptionally valuable cargo. Delivery times are measured in months. Most countries are transitioning to a model of autarky. Can such a decentralized supply system meet the needs of modern society? Will this localization lead to technological regression? The answers to these questions will become clear in our further observations. Look at the scientific laboratories now. You will see how the research agenda has completely changed. Scientists have focused on biomechanics, studying the capabilities of the human body and animals. The primary objective is to maximize the efficiency of muscle-powered traction. Pay attention to the testing grounds. There, new bicycle models are being tested. Engineers are experimenting with frame materials, seeking ways to reduce weight without sacrificing strength. They are using aluminum alloys and composites previously employed in the aerospace industry. Observe the research in ergonomics. Special simulators are being created that precisely measure muscular effort during pedaling. Scientists are determining the optimal regimes for alternating between load and rest for bicycle couriers. Look at the veterinary clinics. Large-scale studies on the endurance of horses and oxen are being conducted there. New dietary plans are being developed to enhance the animal's performance. The possibilities of selective breeding for particularly strong breeds are being explored. Turn your attention to materials science institutes. There, they are creating new lubricants for bicycle chains and bearings. They are developing wheel coatings that reduce rolling resistance. Self-healing polymers for tires are being tested. Look into the wind tunnels. In them, the aerodynamic shapes of bicycles and carts are being tested. Engineers are looking for ways to reduce air resistance even at low speeds. Every 5% reduction in energy expenditure is considered a breakthrough. Observe the medical research centers. There, they are studying the physiology of prolonged physical exertion. Nutritional mixtures for rapid muscle recovery are being developed. The capabilities of the human body during multi-hour transport work are being analyzed. Pay attention to the mechanization institutes. There, they are designing muscle-powered drives for cargo platforms. They are creating systems with belt drives and pulley mechanisms that allow a single person to move loads weighing up to 1 kilograms. Take a closer look at the bionic design laboratories. Scientists are studying the structure of the limbs of animals capable of a long-distance running. This knowledge is used to create more efficient pedal mechanisms and transmission systems. Observe the testing of new types of transport. On special tracks, multi-seat velomobiles with streamlined bodies are being tested. Their design allows for higher speeds with the same muscular effort. Notice the research in the field of energy storage. They are developing mechanical accumulators, flywheels that store energy during downhill descents and release it on uphill climbs. This significantly conserves energy when moving through hilly terrain. Look at the work on improving road surfaces. Engineers are searching for the optimal composition of soil mixtures that provides minimal rolling resistance. Various paving options for different types of transport are being tested. What is happening to fundamental science? Physicists have switched to studying friction and rolling motion. Chemists are developing new alloys for bearings. Mathematicians are calculating optimal routes, taking into account terrain and muscular expenditure. Can scientific progress compensate for the absence of internal combustion engines? Will we hit the biological limits of the human body? The search for answers continues in research centers across the world. Observe the global economy now. You will see a radical shift in trade flows. International trade has shrunk to just 15% of its former volume. Seafaring sailing vessels make a handful of voyages per year, replacing regular freight shipments. Pay attention to the trade between continents. Transatlantic and transpacific routes have practically ceased to exist. Only coastal sailing along shorelines and short sea crossings between neighboring countries have been maintained. Look at the change in the structure of exports and imports. Instead of finished goods, The primary cargoes being shipped are now information, technologies, and samples. Physical goods have given way to intellectual property and know-how. Take a closer look at the financial systems. The gold standard is re-emerging as the primary measure of value. Digital currencies have lost their relevance due to problems with powering server infrastructure. Barter is growing even between nations. Observe industrial production. Every country is now forced to develop a full cycle for manufacturing essential products. Global supply chains have fragmented into regional clusters. Look at the energy sector. Oil and gas have lost their significance as transportation fuels. They are now used only for the chemical industry and heating. Coal has once again become the primary energy source. Examine communication systems. Satellite links persist, but their capabilities are reduced. Terrestrial fiber optic networks have become critically important infrastructure, with their protection and development receiving top priority. Pay attention to scientific collaboration. International research projects have moved into virtual space. Scientists exchange data through secure communication channels. The physical movement of specialists has become a rarity. Observe cultural exchange. Theaters, museums, and educational institutions hold joint events via video link. Digital libraries have become the main source of knowledge about other cultures. Look at political alliances. Regional organizations are strengthening, while global institutions are losing influence. Neighboring countries are forming economic and transport unions for mutual support. Notice the education system. Universities have transitioned to remote learning. Students from different countries attend lectures by the best professors without physical relocation, leading to a democratization of access to knowledge. Look at medical cooperation. Doctors conduct teleconsultations and perform complex surgeries under the guidance of foreign specialists via video systems. The exchange of medical knowledge has accelerated despite transport limitations. What is happening with international conflicts? Military actions have practically ceased. Logistical problems have made large-scale operations impossible. Diplomatic negotiations have moved to a virtual format. Can humanity maintain its unity in the face of disintegrating global connections? Will this regionalization lead to new forms of isolationism? The answers to these questions will determine the future of world civilization. Look at the modern city now. You will see a society that has fully adapted. Physical activity has become a daily norm for every resident. The average person walks or cycles 15 to 20 kilometers per day. Pay attention to the urban layout. Cities have become compact and multifunctional. Workplaces, shops, medical facilities, and recreational areas are all located within walking distance of residential districts. The need for long-distance travel has been minimized. Observe the street environment. Wide avenues have been transformed into boulevards with cycle paths, pedestrian walkways, and horse trails. Former parking lots have become squares and playgrounds. Green spaces now cover 40% of the urban territory. Take a closer look at the rhythm of life. It has become measured and predictable. The workday begins at 9 a.m. and ends at 6 p.m. Lunch breaks last an hour and a half, giving people enough time to walk home, eat, and rest. Evening hours are dedicated to family and self-education. Notice the social fabric. Residents of a neighborhood know each other well. Community groups resolve most everyday issues independently. Local self-governance has acquired real authority. Look at the production chains. They have shrunk to a regional level. Goods are made from local materials for the local market. Long-distance raw material supplies have become the exception, not the rule. Examine the demographic indicators. The birth rate has stabilized at simple reproduction levels. Mortality from traffic accidents and diseases linked to a sedentary lifestyle has decreased by 90%. Pay attention to energy consumption. It has fallen to a third of what it was in the age of motor transport. Renewable sources meet 80% of demand. Hydrocarbon fuels are used only for industry and emergency generators. Observe the food system. Agriculture has returned to methods akin to organic farming. City dwellers actively practice gardening in their yards and on building rooftops. Look at the health metrics. The population's physical fitness has improved significantly. Problems associated with a sedentary lifestyle have vanished. Mental illnesses caused by stress and lack of time have decreased by 60%. Pay attention to cultural life. Local theaters, libraries, and clubs have become centers of social attraction. Public events are held within walking distance of residential areas. Street art is flourishing. Look at the education system. Schools have adopted the walking distance principle. All educational institutions are located within a 15-minute walk from home. Students and teachers know each other personally. What is happening with technological development? It has focused on improving communications, medicine, and energy efficiency. Inventions are judged by their utility and sustainability, not their commercial potential. Pay attention to environmental indicators. Air and water quality have reached pre-industrial levels. Greenhouse gas emissions have been reduced by 75%. Many species of animals and birds have returned to the cities. Human life has entered a new phase of equilibrium. The pace of existence has slowed to a natural rhythm. The planet exists in a mode of sustainable development. Civilization has passed the point of bifurcation and found a new balance between progress and nature.